those magnificent men in their flying machine. They go up to the up, up, they go down to the up, down.
Okay, well, we're about to start the wing, and it's the same as usual. You know, make sure you've got all your bits that you require for the build-up. On this plan, they show you it's like 4 parts. It's 2 wings, one there, and this is like weird being upside down, which shouldn't make any difference really. So obviously you won't see it on the light or nothing, but you can see the end bits. The spars are in place for the bottom bit. Now the key is with the camera in the position it's in is to show you this piece here. On the map, this is to give you the actual dihedral of the wings for the main ribs that are joining. That's what I said. So safely again, put your blue carbon paper underneath with a bit of card underneath, get a ruler and trace it out, and then cut it with a blade so that you've now got your piece. And I've marked the arrows so I don't get confused. Then you simply put your rib on, get it nice and straight, and then you match it up. I usually do it in the middle, so you've got it there, and you know that that dihedral is going to be the same on either side, and obviously you do it the opposite way. And then when you get the wings joined together, you will get, hopefully it will be the right dihedral. It should be 20mm from wingtip to the floor, the base. So that's where we go from there. So the next stage after gluing that in will be to get the next rib. That will be on the camera there just, yeah. And then as you do it, to save time, like, I mean, you can white glue them in. Personally, I would probably white glue them in because that gives you a bit of time to make sure they're square. Because how I do it, I move the camera a bit so it might help. Use the dodgy moves. There you go. Right. As I've said before, but probably on different videos, when you put them in, unless you've got a good eye, I always work away towards the end of the tip. Obviously that one doesn't matter because it's got the angle. And with the white glue, you get it, make sure they're nice and square, and obviously straight, because these are renowned to be a bit warped, these, but usually you can straighten them out. So you can see where the white glue is glued. Once it's all nice and straight, pin it in either side, like, because obviously these are fly, so you can't pin them in. So once it's on there, the glue, nice and straight, just put a pin either side like so. You've got it straight, and then you know that it ain't going to move. Okay, so it's nice and straight like so, and then it's in. There's no point trying to put any weight on it because it's not going to help. So the white glue will take it, and it's nice and straight. And then obviously as you go down, you follow suit, the next one, and so forth. And by then, when you get to the end, you've got all the room to keep it square. Okay, and that's about the best fit so far. I'll move it again. So there is an issue that I will bring up now. I'll try and zoom in on it. Probably won't let me do it, typical. I don't know if you'll see it in this light. I'll try and move it forward. Maybe that will help. That might do. Right. Okay. I was talking to my mate Ian Macintosh, bless him. Right. The elevators, it's just me, I'm a bit funny like that, but this is the elevator how it's meant to be made, like from an old kit. So you basically, how they've planned it is that you've got some sort of strange hinge that goes on the top. So when you've got it obviously flat like that to down and up. Well, on the real plane it was nothing like that at all. They were the old-fashioned way, like curved round. So I'm going to make mine that way, not this way. So I apologise if people were purists and want it done exactly right, but I can't be doing with that. So, and that's the problem you're going to have here, see, when it gets to there. But I'll come to that and show you how to do it. I mean, to be honest with you, it's a better move, I think. Anyway, that's another bit later on. So we've got to this stage where you put this rib in, and this is where you have to have a bit of patience. And after you've squared it up with the white glue, then you this comes to the bit where this is where the actual struts from the fuse are bolted, or screwed as they say here, but I'd bolt them. And these are your hardwood blocks, which would be these. And what you basically do, that's why you need the patience, is you'll white glue these in, or epoxy them if you feel comfortable with that. But white glue will do just as well, right? Both sides. Like so you got your white glue on there, and you'll see the trick. So you can slot it in, and it should be perfectly square because you've squared up the original rib. Do this one as well. Okay. No, I've done it wrong. No, okay, slot that one in there. Okay, so that's nice and square. And then with this rib, you just do this. That'll do. Don't worry about access because you'll see why. Right, once you've got that on there, like so it's in. Lovely. Right, now here's another tip. Get a jar of water, warm water if you've got it, doesn't really matter. Okay, and then you take off the excess glue as you do with all the ribs. A bit of wipe with a piece of cloth. Same with that. Okay, because when it comes to put the capping on, you want as least glue in the way as possible. So get rid of it like that. Rinse it out with the water, and then you get your clamp. And clamp it in if you can get the clamp straight. If it'll work, it'll hopefully work. But it's not going to happen, is it? That'll be alright. So that's that one. And that one there. So it's clamped in tight. Okay, and leave it to set. I mean, by all means, you can carry on following down now, as long as they're in. Because obviously it's imperative that they're as strong as you can get. Again, there's a bit more glue there, so get rid of the excess. You want to stick to the plan if you can help it. Right, and that's that. That's that. Okay, and that's that. And obviously you repeat this again on the other side of the wing. And then that's it ready. And then don't drill it now, drill it after you've got it lined up when you're connecting the wing to the fuse, obviously. Right. Okay, that'll do. And we're now on to the bit where the ailerons sit. Yesterday I said elevators, didn't I? Twonk. Anyway, never mind. Jelly. So elevators, yeah. The ribs for that. Basically, because I'm adapting them, I'm not making them like this. But either way, you still got to cut it. So what I tend to do is, with the plan, guide it up to the plan, and make sure that you got it level with the plan there. Don't worry about the front so much as the back. You've got to make sure you got them. Now you just get a marker, like a marker, where you see where you're going to have the spars, just like that. Give it a little mark there, and then get your set square, because it's more or less flat at the bottom anyway. It won't really matter as long as it's reasonable. And then you mark it like so. There's your mark. And then either if you both, obviously don't put it on here, but cut it. So you cut it so it's nice and straight. Alright, I'll just finish that over here, so you know. Right. And then, as you see, you have that's there. And if I move it slightly over the camera, right, you'll see that it'll fit in like so. See? And that way, when it comes to putting the sheeting on, I mean, it doesn't matter about that bit, it won't break off, doesn't it? Right, see like that. Now, you can either, you've got a choice, you can either, because you're going to need 12 of these, there's 3 in the middle, so there's 12. You can either do them one at a time like that, or the other way to do it is you get a spare spar, clip them in. I would only do 3 at a time. You clip them in, so like reasonably square, obviously at the end like so. So you got it there. I mean, use both spars if you like, if you got that, and then you've got them on your flat surface like so. Make sure they're nice and straight. Hold them down, and then with the one you've cut, carry on cutting down like with this saw. Okay. Now the other thing as well, yeah, you can see it. These bits here with your offcuts, these are a must. You must keep the offcuts because that's what you're going to make your elevators out with. Right, ailerons, elevators. What's with me and elevators? Your ailerons are going to be made out of these because these are going to be spares. Right, and see, so as you can see, they will fit more or less perfect on there. You just have to trim them back a bit to allow for the front key, but I'll show you that afterwards because it's got to be strong. But you need them, and you also have to make a couple of extras for the either side of the aileron. But you know, just use these as templates. But don't throw them or don't lose them. Okay. This is a bit of the front spar. The reason I'm doing the front spar, I suppose you want to call it. I suppose it's the right name for it. What you do is you get it up to there. You'll notice there's a piece of string here, which is there for a reason. What I tend to do is, because you've got it all pinned down, so you've got a grip to get them on. You line them up like that. But your bit of rod will hold that if you want. Doesn't really matter. And then mark them. Go down, mark either side. like all the way down to the end, and take it off, and then do the same on the back. You can get on the camera so that you've got the angle, and then because you don't want excess glue, you can either white glue it, and if you're quick, if you want to use cyano, which is, if you're quick, it might be alright, but I wouldn't. Get your white glue and only use the glue. Put the glue sort of like, oh, come on, don't go all the way down it, just tip the ends like so, all the way down. Oh, so I might as well do this like that, because you don't want the excess at the bottom, because you can't clean it off because it's on the sheet. So you just do that, it'll run itself like so, all the way. Because obviously you're using the lines as a guide. Not too much shitty glue. Right, so like that, and put it in like so. Right, that's in. Now, you've got it where you want it. This piece of string, it's only get a pin, because you pin it, just roughly pin it, so you've got somewhere holding it. Because as you can see at the back, it's not going to line up yet, so it doesn't matter. So now you get your string. This is the key. You get your string, and you pull it in, and it will pull in. Put it on there, just pull it, and that'll hold that there. Tie a knot if you want. It's fiddly, but it's worth doing it this way, because one, it won't bend the rib. Get it in there. Full of bloody cold again. Fucking nightmare. Bloody parcels. Right. So there you go. So that's in tight, because you have to get out tight. Because as you go to the back, as you can see, it's going to need it pinned there or tied. But you can go down it as best you can. Get the pins in. 1001 pins. Okay. Give it a grip. I think the last one might need a bit more than that. This is a typical wood's a bit warped, so it's almost there. Right. Got it. That's why I use white glue, because you get a bit of time to play with it. You get a piece of string at the end, like so. Right. Pull up my lid. Make sure you get the knot on the edge of the wood. Make sure the wood stays straight. If it doesn't, you're in trouble. Right, so there you go. That's it in tight. Tie a knot on it. And that's that one in. So they're all in. You've got them all nice and in. Check the buttons, see, it's all in. You see that in the way I wouldn't see it properly. And then do what you usually do with a brush. Put it off and clean off the excess glue where you can see it. So it needs it, right? Okay. I mean, if you're still on, I mean, what you could do as well, I mean, sometimes I do it, it just depends where I see where the glue runs in, because it will hold it solid. It doesn't matter if you want to see that bit maybe. Underneath it should be seen, you can't get it on the flat side. What you can do, if you really want to, run a bit of cyano just down the sides, but I wouldn't, because you've got to get the capping on. Yeah, rib caps or whatever. So there you go. And leave that to set. Okay, anyway, this bit, right, as you can see, I've now put the top spar on, which is glued in. There's a reason I'm doing this in order. Normally, if I was building this without a plan, I wouldn't be doing it like this. I would just take the whole wing off and then do it by eye. But I'm trying to do it as a builder would do it, like, as I do. So anyway, as you put, this is going to be your the webbing. Now it goes on the front, and it only stops there. But me being me, I'm going to take it to the end. And if it was, to be honest with you, I might even do the back as well. You know, because it's not going to have much weight. Because I've got a bigger engine here, I can't see the weight issue being a problem. And it's also going to be stronger. This is why this can be quite tedious, so it's good to do one wing at a time. Anyway, so in order to get the measurement, just twist it that way for now. Because obviously the ribs, so all these ribs, as square as you got them, are all going to be different. So you have to do them one at a time, I'm afraid. Right, so you mark it there, where your rib line is, and then you simply just get your finger, use your finger as a trailing edge, and only run it up as far as you need to. Okay, and then you cut it with a sharp scalpel, like I've done there. Okay, and then you fit it in. See, it's true because it's flat to the board. You know it's not going to protrude at the bottom. And then the trick is, once you've got it on the front, you get your sharp blade again. Maybe you can see this on the camera without getting in the way of it. You run it down the back, right along the top of the spar, gently. Okay, and that way, there's no point marking it because the marker is untrue. The blade's thin in it, so you see, and then that will give you a tracking line, like you do, and you cut it on that line. Now here's the other little trick. I've done one as you do in Blue Peter. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, it's up far up. Yeah, we'll zoom in on it, see if that helps. Oh, you can't. Right, anyway, never mind. Right, there's one here I've made, which is square. Here's a little tip. See the inlets, these? Are on the ribs. Right, these are these things, right? They came out of these. And the reason I say save everything, right, is because these are dead handy now. So what you do is obviously, you know where your line is, thickness, run a bit of glue down there and a bit of glue down there like you do. Oh yeah, another tip is where you've gone, because tell you what, you'd be surprised, if you're thick like me, which I am thick, you forget which one you've done. Right, so you put it in, mark it, just put a little mark there so you know that's where you're going next if you're doing them one at a time, which I would. Right, so you've got it there. Now here's a little trick, you've got these, to get a few more, there's thousands of these things, that's why I save them. Right, I mean you get your clamps, don't matter really what size clamps you use, but I prefer, we'll use these for now. You don't want really too many strong clamps. Right, and this is the trick. I'll bring it closer so it might help. Let's have a look. Yeah, about there. We'll find one that fits. See, they're all different. It's just for argument's sake. You've glued it. And what you do is with these are ideal per clamp. One at the back, so it's on the floor, and one on the front. Like that. And then you basically put your clamp in, and that'll clamp it evenly. And obviously you do it again on there. Right, and there. Right, so it's flat on the floor, it's not going to move, and you put your clamp in like so, onto them. That way, because you've got them in, it won't bend the grain. The other thing is important as well, is make sure you put the grains upwards, vertical, or horizontal, whatever, as long as it's running the opposite direction to the spars. But that's about it, and like I said, you do one at a time, clamp it, then next time follow it suit all the way. Obviously at this bit, you don't need it here at the beginning. I'll move the camera so you can see. Right, there's the beginning of the wing. That's because it's going to have one of these in it, which I'll find if I can find it. There you go. As Ian has done, one of these goes in there. Right, so you have to cut this rib out, and when I do it I'll show you, but for now, when you mark it up, you're obviously going to mark it up. So you mark it up with a nice sharp pencil and you mark it. Right, so that's the line there. Right, don't cut the inner one first, cut the outer one there, because the inner line will be easier to cut then. If you cut that first one, this is all going to be wobbly and it'll be a nightmare. Okay, but we'll come to that at a later date. So that's generally how you do it, and it just takes time. And if you've got the patience, then do it again at the back. You might have to buy some extra sheeting because they only give you enough to do one side. Typical flare kit. Alright, any questions on that? If I've gone too fast, I'm sorry, because the camera only gives you 10 minutes before it cuts out. And that's about that. Okay, right. You'll see that in a minute. Now we're coming back to this. This is the back, the strengthening back for the aileron. But the aileron will sit, you know, against the actual wing. So what you do is you get your capping strip, which is supplied with the kit, and you mark it as close to it as possible. And obviously you get your set square, because it's a straight piece of wood. As you can see, you get your set square and you mark it like I've done. Now you might have to go off camera a minute to cut this. So you cut it with a saw or jig, whatever you choose. I'll use this, it's quicker. See if it fits. It might be tight, but it doesn't matter. There you go, and then it goes. See? Now, you got it there. Here's a trick, because you notice the wing's not quite still, because I've took all the pins out. put a piece of weight on it so you know it's going to be nice and flat. Now this time round, you've got it in. This won't matter so much if you use a pen to mark it rather than the blade, because you can always sand it to shape, because your capping strips are going to go over this. Okay, yeah, nice mark. Okay, and that's that, and you got it there. And you just get a ruler, a nice straight edge, which you'll need. Back again, cut down bloody thing. And we shall cut it. How you do? Take your time with this, because they only give you the right amount. Again, like, and if you get it wrong, you'll have to supply your own piece of wood to rectify it, which is typical. Which I don't suppose I blame her really. I suppose it's all down to cost. But I'll shut up now. Right, so you got it in. You're back in. There you go. It's okay. So it's nice and in. Now it's there and it's nice and smart. Right. But like I say, when your capping strip goes on the top, anyone see it? Be it strengthened. And then it's the same again. You run your glue around the back, white glue, and then use the famous bits either side to clamp it. And then let's quickly scan over, because you just can't. So that's them all curing now, ready to go. So it's exactly the same process as I did with the front capping strips, webbing even. So we'll do the same and repeat at the back. Okay, right. Alright, so we're coming to the capping now, this bit. You might find that, like I've had to, you might have to slightly sand the edge that you've put on to the angle. Gently do it. Right, you might not need a lot, my sis didn't need a lot, but just to get the angle so the capping strip fits nice. Anyway, as usual, they give you it in one piece. So the thing you got to look for now is, before you, most people think, oh, just take it to the edge there and follow the plan, but the thing you want to do is you get, snap a piece off of your capping strip, which is there because it's going to sit central, and line it up with that so it looks nice and neat when the covering goes on. Okay, not that you might not see it because you're going, mine's a bit different, but there you go. All comes later on. So you've got that, so you obviously got it all there. You make it true. Now then you just, like, once you've got it, mark it, or leave a little bit over the edge to sand after, that's not a problem. Right, so as I've done one before, like so. So you see, and you leave your cut mark. Now what you do then is just so you know where you're putting your glue. What I always do is I mark it with a pencil or a marker, it doesn't really matter. The reason to do that is so you know where you're putting your glue, basically. You know, so because this one I'm going to cyno because it's not really a problem if I can find this stuff. Right, right. So you know where your mark is, so you just run your cyno across it like so. Right, just run it across it. Doo 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 doo. Yeah, leading edge. That's funny. I don't know. What am I like? Oh, there you go. So there you have it. And obviously, if you want to white glue it, fine. If you want it, but I'm right, your capping strip just to make sure. Normally I do it by eye, so it's not really a problem. But so because you don't get long with these bloody things, so there you go. That's it there. So you make sure it's all nicely in line. I mean, if you get it out of line slightly, you can always sand it, so it's not a problem. But you can get it first time, it saves time. And that'll be it stuck. As you do. Right, that's that part. Okay, that'd be nice. It's not going anywhere. Now the next bit is, right, this bit is catchy. So now we'll put the bottom strip on, the actual bottom capping strip to the wing. Okay. Now, if you don't have a plan, then what you do is, or you do have a plan and you don't have the mark. So on here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. No, I'll move it a bit. So, right, that's the kit. A bit more. Right. Sorry about this, but you know, bear with me, as they say. Right, that's probably the best place to put it. Right, a capping strip. Obviously, follow the plan. The capping strip is actually cut to size in that respect, width-wise. Obviously, you've got to use this piece for your aileron. Hey, I got it right. Now, what I do is I basically, so you've got an even flat surface, make sure it's all flat. I use the other capping strips because the same width, right? And you basically, you've got your markings here to show where your strips are meant to be. And then, if you line up your fuse, line up your food. See what I mean? Line up your wing with the rest of the plan. That will bring it true. Making sure that you obviously got your rib, that's a joining rib, then lined, and then you make sure they're all in line, which they are. Okay. Now what I would do, just to be safe, and like, you know what they say, measure twice, cut once. So if they look even to you, that's even. And then no one's going to see this bit, because obviously you've got to take this off again. Right. So I just do this. So you got it like that. You know, it takes time, I know, but if you do it like this, you know where you're putting your glue. Okay. Now, for the sake of time on the video, again, your choice, white glue it or super glue it. It's up to you. Right. So you know it's straight, so you can follow in them markers, indicators. The other way to do it is, if you haven't got the indicators, you would take all this off, and pull it back, the plate, and mark them yourself with using the ribs as a guide on the paper, you know, on the plan, and that way you would have it. So there you have it. That's them there. So now your main issue is, you're not worried about this. You can cut that off if you want, but I'd leave it on for now. So you got it all sitting lovely. So you take your wing off. Now you know where you're going to put your super glue. So again, you're using the super glue. It's risky because obviously you got to get it right as soon as possible, but white glue is messy, and also it sticks quicker. See, so there you have it. That's that. Dun, 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 dun. That's lovely. Right, there we go. Moment of truth, he says. Making sure you got it on straight, because if you don't get it right, you can have it. Right, so that's them all on. Now that's it, all set. And that is the bottom bit. So once you're confident with it and it looks straight enough to me, it's straight, it'll do. You know it's in line there, and everything's lined up. So you got that rice, and that's on its edge. So you just, once it's bone dry, just trim it off at the edge there, because this is only what you get, so you ain't got a lot of play with this. You know what I mean? If you cut it too short, or if you cut it too long that way and it's too short for there and thing, you're knackered. Cool. And that's that. Okay, I apologise for the light because it's getting late, but I don't really know another way to do it. Right. Okay, I've looked at the plan to put the wingtip on, and again, this is where the plan is. It's a bit bizarre, but there you go. I've put that one on that you can see. I've put the capping strip on, which I'll show you how to do that later. I just had to put it on because according to the plan, when you put the strengthening braces on, right, and you must have got them in the right place there. What I've done is I've put them on and I marked either side, as you can see. So you've got it. It needs to be true with the top of the capping strip. That's why I put the capping strip on. Okay. So the reason I'm gluing them first is because these are the kit versions of them, and I checked with the plan, and they're exactly the same as it should be on the plan. So we're nicely straight. Make sure it's in line because that's important. And just hold it there and hope for the fucking best. And once they're on, because this is where it gets tricky. Right, so they're on. They're not the world's strongest. I usually leave the wingtips to last, and the cap in I might add, because they're so delicate and thin, these things. When you're trying to work bits on the wing, you knock it and they get battered about and damaged. So, but as it goes, we'll do this, because obviously once I've built this one wing, the whole of the other wing, apart from a few differences on the other wing, the top wing, bottom wing even, which I'll come to, they're all going to be the same built, the same way. So basically, once I've done one, that means I don't have to video anything for a while. Yay! And you'll all be relieved. Right, that's that part, so we'll leave that to cure. You see, the problem is I've come the parts like this, have come pre-shaped. Well, not really, more or less. But when I checked it against the plan, it just literally leaves you hardly any room for error when you form the thing. So if I move the camera over, sorry, if I move it over, if I can get it to it without damaging it. Right, I'll try and see if I can get it. Right, here we are. You see now, when you get the piece, make everyone feel camera sick. So as you put the piece on, and when you line it up to the actual, oops, right, well, I'll put this down. Things do my bloody thing. Right, that'll do. Right, it's a bit, right, there you go. As you put the piece on, I know it's not in line. You've got to line it up square to the angle here, so you get your square there. Now if you notice, it looks square there, but it actually sticks out about 5mm at the end. Now obviously the piece, you got a choice. You can either make it like that, or you can move it forward. But if you move it forward so that that tip there, you literally are on the line, so you haven't got enough, you know, to make the curve. See what I mean? On the surf. So you got to decide. So I'll have a look at that later, because I'm not going to make, you only get, well, I could make them myself I suppose. So I'm going to look at it properly, and then once I've got that worked out, I'll video out how it's all put on. Okay, right. So what you do is get your carbon paper, as I showed you before, put a piece of card underneath, get your carbon paper, and then draw around it. Like I said, draw around the outline, and then you'll come out with, cut it out with a piece of card. Make sure that it's exactly like it is on the plan. So you've got it. The other thing then, you've got that sorted. Then you line it all up like I did, but you don't have to worry now because I've done it for you. So we can stand back a bit. There's your piece. It's obviously for another wing. You've got it in line because you've already put your. I'll turn it over. You've already put your pieces on here to give you a guide in line with the capping, like I said in the previous video. So they're going to be square. Okay. And turn it around, and then you line it up. Literally, you just butt it up because it'll be square. Butt it up to the end of the rib there. You're going to have a little piece of excess over, but that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter. And then obviously you glue it in, cyano it in, whatever, white glue, but I'd cyano it in because it's quicker. And that way you've got that. Then, as you can see, this is the trick. You know on the plan, that ring comes to the end. This is your end of your tip here. Right, they're all in line, and that's the end, but you've got a little bit at the end, remember? You've got a bit it sticks over. So when your capping goes on, you've got to remember there's a piece of, it sticks out a little bit more. So don't forget that. So you put it there, back there, that's where it is. Once you've got it, you mark round it, that I've done. And then if you want to get the round on the top, give it a crease there and bend it over, and that will give you a rough idea of the round when you draw it out, and then you'll see it from the plan. Hence, ta-da, if you can see that, the round, and it's on the top as well, if I can get the light. See? So you've got a rough idea. That you might have to sand by eye, but at least you can see all around that, and the curve up to there. Personally speaking, I would put a little piece in here and a little piece in here, because this isn't very strong, you know, but that's me just being conscious. But it can't hurt to like strengthen it even more, because as you all know probably, what's the first thing that goes into the ground if you have a bad landing is the wingtip, 9 out of 10 times. So I would strengthen that up a bit more. That's what I do in all my other planes anyway. And this is the capping. I said I'd show you how it's done. You just get your capping strip, right, and you basically add it up to there, and you just literally hold it down to there, and then you look on the top of the ridge, right, and then you mark it with the scalpel to the top of the ridge, like so. Then cut it, and then you'll see it fits in like the rest. Okay, and then the next bit to do is quite obvious, I suppose, but you know, put your super glue on it. Okay, there you go. And then what I do is I get the fit, because this is like mitre glue, fantastic stuff. Right, and you make sure it's in line with that there. Run your finger along it, make sure it's in line, and then make sure it's capped on there, and that'll hold it in. Okay, make sure it's nice and tight and straight. That will stick instantly because it's got that fixative on it. So there you have that. There you go. Still strange, but there you have it. Right, there you go, and that's how you do it. Right, this is the detailing of the wing. This is the original Sopwith pup. This here is the, as you can't know, is the inspection hatch for tensioning the cables for the ailerons. And there's one on each side of the wing, so there's 4 in all here, and you've got to do. And anyone else is doing it. That's the original, and then it should come out like another light's terrible. It's all there, the wheel and everything else is in there. So, and then after you've covered the plane, you put your cap on just like on the real thing. The reason this one's brown is because that's the colour I'm going to spray the Solartex when it's finished, because that's what the colour is of the one at Shuttleworth. So, and that's what I'm basing this one on. So, and then when you've got the covering on, because you've got your capping on, you put your pins in, or little screws, to make it look even more authentic. Okay, I'll come to that in a minute. So in order to do this, you get your original rib, which you've got there, and you trace around it on a piece of scrap balsa, which I've done there. You've obviously got to do 4 of these, so you got that, and you chop it at the back, and that will go in as your extra rib. Slides in, you glue it in, and then once you've glued it in, put your capping on there. That way it gives you a little ridge, and that way then you get your next piece, which you've cut to width, which is this. I'll pull the wing out of it, and that slides up underneath, glued in position, and the same with the base plate there. Once you've done that and it's all glued with super glue, it takes minutes, then get a bit of wood stain, because if you look at the real one, if you can get the light off, it's wood stained inside, so you wood stain that, okay, which is antique pine, I might add. So there's that. Now the cat wheel, that's the hard bit. That was the easy bit. The cat wheel is, it's quite simple. I've got a couple of these old little trailer wheels that I picked up off some show I was at. Alright, so just take the rubber off. Alright, try and do this with one hand. Alright, and you can see like the wheel's got a groove in it, just like the thing on the camera there, on the plane, the real plane. So there's a little groove. Like, well, if you go and got any toy car wheels will do, or anything like that. Okay, and that's where the ride's going to run. And then when you've got that, you've got your wheel. So that's that bit. You got your main bit. It's also got a hole for it, which is ideal. And then, if you, like again before, if you get an old tin beer can or a Coke can, if you don't have any metal like this sheet, thin sheet, and then I'll put it down because one hand's very difficult. So just find this. It doesn't matter how you cut this. I used a pair of cutters, you know, just normal garden cutters or wire cutters or whatever. I cut through it, just any old square. It doesn't matter because you're going to tidy it all up. Once you've tied it, once you've got your piece cut out roughly to the same width as that, it's only about half an inch, about, well, 3/4 of an inch wide. You chop it, get it in a vise, and then just bend it into 4. You know what I mean? Bend it into a U shape. And then once you've got your U shape, you then get a fine drill. Any drill about, let me see. Any drill will do, because all you're doing is making a hole for where the wheel goes. So you get your drill it through after you've bent it, like on there. You just, once you've got it shaped, don't worry about shaping it yet. So you drill through the panel, both sides of the U, and then on there, and then obviously on the back here, alright, you drill another hole down so you can get your wire through, because there's a wire at the back there, see, and there's a wire there. Right, so you've got that. Once you've got the shape and you're happy with it's going around the wheel, once you've got the right thickness of the wheel, so you've got your U and you've got your shape in there, right, you've got your hole that side there for your wire to come through, alright, and then that's when you've got it. Well, you can cut it to the shape, more or less the triangular shape that is on the real one. You're never going to get it perfect unless, I mean, you can if you really try, I suppose. You can put a bolt through like that. On a quarter scale I managed to get it almost exactly like that, but on these little things, because it's so small and fiddly, it's just more or less impossible with the tools, unless you've got specialist tools, I believe. Anyway, so once you've done that, you cut it a shape, spray it black like on there with a bit of car spray or whatever, and then you get a piece, that's that bit, and then you obviously iron your epoxy resin into place so it sticks in about 5 minutes. And then the wire, I just use normal, the wire you use for closed loop systems, you know, it's coated wire, when it looks like just like the real thing and all, which is cool. And that, you drill your holes already drilled, pierce it through the back and there, and then use a little, oh, it's gone again, I don't know where they are, half the things are missing, oh yeah. So, and then you use your little tubing, brass tubing you got, and then just crimp either side there, and then so it holds the wire tight in place, so it will never move. Okay, once that's in, then the next trick of course is like, right, to get the cap in, right, which is this, you can use, if you want to use balsa then fair play, but I use really thin ply, which is this stuff, mega thin marine ply I think it's called, right, because it's more durable to cut. So you cut your square out, you measure your square obviously onto the plait there, you cut it up, round off the edges so it looks like the real thing, and then the plastic, I use any old bottle I do, because a bottle's already curved, right, you know, a bigger bottle would be better because it's less curved, and then you just cut that to size at the back, and then you epoxy that in, and clamp it and leave it dry. Oh yeah, if you're doing it olive green, then you just, whatever colour it's got to be, you've got to spray it before you put the plastic on obviously, because then you won't have to worry about getting it on the paint, on the plastic. Once that's all in, you leave that until you for the end of covering, and then basically it's all, the reason the bottle's good for the plastic, it's got a curve on it, So like of more or less go in contact with your wing ribs, see, and then that's it. And you got to do it on all 4 wings, all 4 sides, and I mean that's really being particular. But when it's finished the plane, oh yeah, and then when you finish, you can either put miniature screws in, or put pin heads, just like short pins, and they'll stick into the rib here. And that basically is that bit. Alright, yeah, I tell you, if you as real builders, it's a lot of patience you need to do it, you know, because you do 4 and it's fun. But that's it for there, and that's basically the best. If you want me a video of actually making this, then I'll do it. But like I say, I think I've explained it best I can. Any questions, then go for it. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So I've gone down, 3 to go. That's that piece of the wing. Okay, right then. Cheers, chaps. Bye.
Those magnificent men, those magnificent men, those magnificent men in the flight.